Hey guys, welcome to day 144. I think it's 144. I think. Yeah, day 144. Spiritual Healthcare. Welcome. Hey everyone. It's good to see you. It is beautiful, actually, for once, beautiful weather here. I hope you guys are having a great morning. Yeah, weather is finally warming up. We had a really weird blizzard the other day where we ended up having crazy, like whiteout blizzard the other day. It was nuts. So welcome everyone. Hello. We got a great topic today. A couple of really awesome questions about allowing for paranormal experiences, as well as shifting paradigms. So we're going to be talking all about that stuff in the next in the next 45 minutes, half hour, all of that. Hi Dan. Hey Nancy. Nancy says she loves my hair. Thank you. I appreciate it. It took me a long time to get this color because my hair wants to be red really bad. Like all the undertones are red. So getting rose gold was tough. But thank you. It looks. I'm happy with it. So welcome everyone. Welcome everybody that's coming in. It's good to see everybody. I hope you guys had a really great week. It's been really busy here with all sorts of crazy projects and planning for new projects and some filming stuff coming up and a whole bunch of other things. So it's been good. I hope you guys have been, productive in everything we've been working on in the last couple of classes, because we've been talking a lot about vision, creating a vision, what that means for families experiencing hauntings, and what it means for everybody on in their day-to-day life and experience. So I think in this day and age, I think it's super important, because I think if you don't have a vision, it's really easy to fall off track. We've got a lot of crazy stuff, propaganda, the media, and we've got, really just a lot of stuff going on right now that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I think it's really important that we understand and have a vision, especially if we're moving forward in a productive way in our experience. So first thing I really wanted to tell you guys about, that I'm super excited about, is the Advances in Parapsychological Research 10th edition is out. It is out. And I encourage everybody to, if you can afford it, to pick up a copy. It is edited by a dear friend of mine, Nancy Zingroni, Dr. Nancy Zingroni, along with really heavy hitters like Stanley Krippner, Adam Rock, Alexandra Moira Almeida, like really prominent people in the field. And excuse me, so they're going into subjects such as parapsychology, quantum theory, and neuroscience, as well as police investigations and mediumship, all sorts of stuff like that. So this is like the textbook, okay, for like new information, where the advances sit today, all of that. I keep getting questions, people asking me about what books to go to for this stuff, and let me tell you, this is one of them. Okay, this is one of them. I try to avoid the more ghost hunter type books and whatever, because I don't find them very useful. But anything, with some of the heavy hitting PhD people, is always worth it. And just amazing. So I've studied with Nancy. She runs the Azire Institute, which I've gone through courses with them twice. Her and her husband, Carlos Alvarado, incredible people, and have probably put together some of the most important work in parapsychology, like, period. They're incredible. So I wanted to get that out there and let you guys know about that, because it's really cool. So but today the questions I thought were so good. And I wanted to start off this morning with a quote that I think is super relevant for today, and is actually from Albert Einstein. And he has said once, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. It was Albert Einstein. And I wanted to sort of start today with that idea, because one of the questions that I got via email, and I thought this was so important to kick off this idea of the paranormal, of creating our experience, all of these things, is what is the balance between making something happen versus letting it happen? How much do I do versus how much do I allow and sit back? And we've been, as I say, we've been talking a lot about this, I think throughout spiritual healthcare over the last, year and a half. And, one of the things that, I've mentioned to people who have asked me, how do I have a paranormal experience? How do I connect with a loved one that has passed over? How come, Aunt Joe gets the, encounter with this person and she barely knew them, versus me, who I was super close with them and they don't seem to want nothing's happening. So I wanted to start there, because I think that is the state of allowing that most of these apparitions show up in is really crucial to understanding how a lot of this stuff really works. Most of people's experiences with the paranormal, whether it be an apparition, whether it be a spirit, whether it be, whatever it is, happens when we are doing something very mundane. It usually happens when our mind is wandering. People are watching TV. You'll notice that even on episodes of Haunted Hospitals or Paranormal 911, if you guys are watching those, it's like a nurse will talk about, I was doing paperwork at the desk and it was super monotonous, or I was cleaning the halls if it was a janitor. I was just washing the floors, listening to music, or doing some rote thing, right, that they do over and over again. And what happens is, when we're into that state of allowing, we kind of just, we drop resistance. We drop that, any sort of disbelief, negative thinking, all of that, it kind of falls away. And we open ourselves up to more possibility. So what I loved about this question, what is the balance between making something happen versus letting it happen, is that I think a lot of people get confused as to, well, do I go and sit with an EVP recorder and, try to entice communication, or do I, go and start, poking the bear, because we see that a lot on the haunted TV shows and things like that. But the reality is that the majority of these things, and this is study based, the majority of these things don't happen when we're trying. They happen when we're in a state of allowing. So what is the balance? How do we discern that in our lives, whether it be wanting a paranormal experience or working towards a goal or whatever it is? How do we create the balance in our environment and in our brains about, at what point do we stop and just let it go and let the universe take over? So I'll tell you, this is what I do. This is my approach to it. Whether it be if I'm working in a case study, or whether I'm working on a project, or whatever it is that I do as much as I can do. I do as much of the work that I can do, because a huge part of this is being ready and knowing that the experience is coming. Okay, so the idea of just if you're trying to make something happen, the problem is it puts you in the energy of it not happening. You are aware that it is not currently happening. If you're trying to get something to happen or make something happen, the problem is it puts you in the energy of it's not happening right now, which perpetuates the fact that it's not happening right now. So the idea is that you want to be able to prepare the space, prepare yourself, prepare all of these things in order to allow the experience to happen. Remember, this stuff is not brought to us. It is brought through us. Okay? Huge difference. Huge difference. And by doing as much as you can do, preparing for whatever it is, whether it be, a goal that you're trying to get to or achieve or something like that, or whether it be something that is, let's say, paranormal in nature, that, you would like to have happen, you want to have that communication happen. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is prepare your space do as much as you can do. You know, if it's job oriented, you know, write out what it is you want that job to be. You know, do the work. You know, get ready to quit the current job, kind of thing. You know, do the work, do what you can do physically, but then that's the point in which you let it go, and you've got to turn that experience over. And it's the same thing with paranormal stuff and communicating with loved ones and things like that, where, you know, prepare the space, you know, do the work, do the healing, you know, get yourself good with what's going on, you know, and then let it go and prepare to have that communication and experience, and be open. Just be open. You know, I think so many people think that communication with entities and non-physical and stuff like that is going to look like some, you know, crazy ghost coming through your wall or whatever. And it doesn't. Most of the time, it does not look like that. It's going to look like something else. And you don't know. You don't get to control that. So you've got to be open to being the receptor, the receiver of what that is. There's a really great experiment done by, multiple universities now, but it's called the Ganzfeld experiment, where basically, you know, you've got somebody in a room, and we've talked about this before, with like ping pong balls over their eyeballs. You know, you saw it in Ghostbusters, and they've got somebody in another room that's called the sender, who is telepathically sending images, messages, all of that thing, and all of those things. And the receiver, the person that's in the other room, is in the best state of allowing they can get into in order to receive it. But they're not trying. They're just allowing. They're relaxed. They're chilled out. They know what's going to happen. They know the image is going to come. They've prepared their space. They're chilled out. They're relaxed. They're happy. They've done the emotional work. They're in that space. But then they let go and see what they get, and then bam, you've got people who are receiving all sorts of interesting communications and you know, imagery and there's remote viewing, all sorts of things like that. So the same applies to the rest of our experiences, where, you know, you prepare, you get it ready, you know, prepare yourself. The old adage, you got to be prepared for the blessing, right? You have to be prepared for the blessing. And, you know, I'll never forget this story. Here it is in practical application for you guys. So, I had heard this story once. It was a talk show, I believe. I think it was Oprah or something like that. So anyway, this business, this small family business, they had sort of an assembly line set up, but it was a small little business. Like, they had, you know, 3 or 4 people that were doing the work and whatever, and they were doing pretty good. And their goal was, they wanted to get eventually, you know, 1 million orders, because they wanted to sit on their business. Like, they wanted to build this empire. And that was their intention. They decided, they're like, we want 1 million orders. That would be amazing. Like, we'd be financially set. And lo and behold, it wasn't long after they set that intention and they sort of allowed for it, they ended up getting a call from a major corporation that said, hey, we love what you guys are doing. We want to put it in all our stores. We need like 2 million of those in the next 3 weeks. You know, here's our order. Thanks. And they had 4 people. They had 4 people working for them. They ended up losing it. They lost the order. They lost the business, because they could not keep up with the expansion. They wanted the thing, but they didn't do the work to prepare for the blessing. So it will get delivered, but you've got to do the work. So that's my answer to that question. What is the balance between making something happen versus letting it happen? Get in your state of expectation. Know that it's going to happen. Do everything you physically can do to prepare for it to show up. Because remember, we're not bringing things into our space. We're allowing it to show up in our space. It's a big difference. Okay, it's already here. You just got to give it space to show up. So that being said, I wanted to talk to you guys today a bit about paradigms. And we've talked about this before, but I think I'm going to take this in a little bit of a new direction today. Anna's saying she was born to see the dead, and that many will help us here with life. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so true. Like, you know, we think that this is something that's asserted on us, and it's not at all. This is meant to be helpful. You know, it's meant to be helpful. So J.B. Rhine, the very famous parapsychologist of the Rhine Institute, most of you guys know that name, said something that I think was one of the most important things that he ever said during his entire career, which was the mind is the greatest power in all of creation. And he understood this very deeply because J.B. Rhine was very much a researcher into not only haunted places, but ESP and things like that. And when we don't fix the underlying belief system that we've got going on, we will be destined to create the results that our paradigms are basically set and programmed to dictate. So we've got, think of it this way. So we've got our brain, we've got source energy, the universe, whatever you want to call it, pouring all these ideas in, right? And we've got access to that stream and that flow all the time. And then it's going to hit up against our paradigm. It's going to come in, it's going to start bumping up against our paradigm, whatever that is. And our paradigm is something that really is something learned. We get influenced by our environment, by the belief systems that are around us, by our experiences. All of that external stuff starts to build up our paradigm and our belief system. So if you think you're not worthy, if you think you can't do something, if you don't believe in this or don't believe in that, all of that's going to build up into sort of a block, right? And anything that's coming in is going to start filtering through that block. So when you've got something that's going on like this, then we typically end up basing our habitual behaviors off of those paradigms, right? So if we're doing something, when we go into our day, the odds are our habitual behaviors are all rooted in that paradigm. We're very often unconscious of it. Like we really are often very unconscious. And when we start acting without being conscious of what we're doing, then that's when people say I'm stuck in it. I'm stuck in it. Or, I've moved from, 20 different haunted places and, it's all the same. It's all the same. I keep getting the same thing over and over and over and over again. Because they've got a problem. The action causes a reaction and ends up creating the circumstances. And as I say, we're genetically and environmentally programmed with that paradigm. So, thankfully, we have some intellectual factors in there, which, gives us free will. And we can start to alternate and mess around with that paradigm and start to break it down. But we think what's being controlled, basically what we think is being controlled by the paradigm, and what we're thinking is creating the vibration from which we're attracting. That's the problem. So this is an issue. This is an issue. And without fixing that and without understanding how to break that up, then you've got an issue, and you're going to be like literally repeating the same thing over and over and over again. If our paradigm goes against whatever idea, whatever influence, whatever knowledge, whatever inspiration is coming in, if we've got a paradigm that's sitting there going, that can't happen, I don't believe that, I don't think that can happen for me, I don't think that's real, then we will end up using that power that's coming in, that power that is universal energy, source energy, whatever you want to call it. We will end up using that power to create what we don't want every time, every single time. I see this so often when I'm dealing with clients in haunted locations, because especially homes where there's been a lot of chaos. If they want better, they'll get the inspiration to want better. And as soon as they do, that energy that they could be using to create something that they want, because it's going through that filter of the paradigm, they are using that energy ultimately just to create the same thing over and over again, or the thing that they don't want. Because paradigms control our results, if you're terrified of doing something that you really want, if you're afraid of something that is unknown, if you are terrified of something that you just witnessed occurring that seems spooky or weird or whatever, I promise you it's because it's going against the paradigm you've got set up. So many times I've been asked, probably one of the most prevalent questions that I've been asked over the years is, are you afraid of haunted places? Are you afraid of the paranormal? And what's interesting is I always come back to them and say, no. And the reason why is because it doesn't go against the paradigm that I hold about unknown and paranormal phenomena. I'm not afraid of it. I respect it. There's definitely been times where that you've got your heart in your throat over one thing or another, but it doesn't go against the paradigm of that I've got set up in my system about the world. And where our fear ends up coming from really is the depth in which we have a paradigm about the experiences that we're having. Neville Goddard, the great Neville Goddard, once said, "You are only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination." And I think it is so important that we understand that our limitations when it comes to imagination, when it comes to how we're setting our views up of the world, will determine your level of fear about moving through the world. It just does every single time. We never see the real us. We really don't. We never see the real us. We see we never see the bigger part of who we are. We are non-physical energy. Straight up, we are non-physical energy. Go back to the quote that we started with. Everything is energy. Everything. And that word gets used a lot, gets thrown around a lot, but that's real. And I'll bring up a quote here from Abraham Lincoln that I think is so important. It's, "To believe in the things that you can see and touch is no belief at all. To believe in the unseen is a triumph and a blessing." Think about that for a minute. To believe in the things you can see and touch is no belief at all, which is true, right? It doesn't take belief to look around and see what we're seeing. But to believe in the unseen is a triumph and a blessing. And what I love about that quote specifically is that if you can set up your world, set up your paradigm in a way that is allowing for these experiences to show up, these positive experiences to show up and be happy. And if we can turn around and set our world up that way, it becomes a lot less terrifying. If we can start to break that paradigm down and build something, however you decide to do it, however you decide to frame it, because it's a very personal thing. If you can then build something that is allowing and will encompass these experiences, then you can start to embrace the unknown, not only just in the world of the paranormal, but also in the world of your day-to-day life. I've had so many friends over the years who have been terrified to go and get what they want, to get their dreams, go and chase something that they really want. They're afraid of what their parents are going to think, or what their work is going to think, or well, what about money, or what about this, or what about that, and their paradigm is literally structured to stop any of that inspiration from coming through. So they quit before they even start, because they won't move from that paradigm. And every time that inspiration keeps butting up against that paradigm, it creates fear, because there's no room in the paradigm to allow for that experience, and it sort of becomes a perpetual issue. So I wanted to give you guys that today to think about as you're kind of moving into the next phase of everything here that's going on, is to take a look at that paradigm. Like, what is it? What do you want? What do you want? What do you really want? Do you want a really cool paranormal experience? Do you want communication with loved ones? Do you just want a damn new job that's better? Do you want something else? What do you want? If you could script what is going on in your experience, what is it? What do you want? And if you're not living it, if that scares the crap out of you, then you've got to start looking at your paradigm and go, wait a minute, what is it that's not allowing for this experience? And don't let it be something like, well, I just don't have the money, or I just don't have this, or I just don't have that. That's an excuse. Don't allow for that. Take the cap off of it and figure out what it is. Because ultimately, I guarantee you, you've got a paradigm somewhere that's not allowing this to come through. You know, and as I say, that's one of the reasons why you know, deep skeptics run into problems with paranormal phenomena and won't allow in new evidence. They won't allow in new information or new science or anything like that. You know, because it butts up against a paradigm for them, and it will cut them off from the information that will take them to that next level, but they won't hear it, because their paradigm is just, it's like, it's crazy, it's too much. You know, won't allow for that. So our paradigms will shape our world, like, totally. And if we don't understand that we've all got these set systems, and we all have them, like every single person has them. If we don't understand that we have these set systems that have been kind of pre-programmed, then it has the potential to really create in your reality stuff that you just don't want. It totally, 100%. So I wanted to read a segment for you guys this morning from Faith in the Valley by Jan Van Zandt, because I think this is relevant to kind of launch everybody into the next week and whatever. So hello to everybody, by the way, that I have not said hello to yet. Everybody that has tuned in, hello everyone. I know there's been some people that have like come in that I've missed and whatever, so hello to everybody. So check this out. The reward you receive for a job well done is getting a bigger, harder job to do. Many of us believe that once we demonstrate how strong, how good, how smart we are, life should give us a break. We believe that we should be home free, and nothing can be further from the truth about the way life works. The trees with the strongest branches and the deepest roots are those who have withstood the heavy winds and stormy weather season after season. You must never become tired of reaching, stretching, growing, and becoming better and better. The old folks called it moving from glory to glory. You must always keep in mind that the more you know and the more you can do, the more you will be called upon. Yes, you have the right to be tired. Yes, you are entitled to a much-deserved rest. Once you get rested, get ready. Life is going to bring you a task to perform, a deep mystery to resolve, a harder job to work on, and a greater victory than you have ever had before. I love it. And it's true. And it's true. And that's why one of the core reasons, like, I really wanted to bring up this subject today, because you know, as you guys, I sent you guys back before to work on the idea of a vision. What is it that you want? All of those things, and these paradigms, you're going to run into them straight across the board. Whether you are a paranormal investigator, whether you are, you know, just looking to broaden your connection with non-physical, whether you are just, you know, I'd say looking for a new job, whatever it is, you're going to run into these, and you gotta know and be aware of what that is and where it came from. So I think one of the best ways, and I'll give you this before we go, the best way to counteract some of this stuff and to figure out what they are when you sit down to write this stuff out, is to write out what it is that you want, no holds barred, but write it in present tense. Don't write it in like, oh, you know, I wish I had blah, blah, blah. Write it as, I am happy and grateful that I now have blank, and start writing it out and get into the feeling place, not the thinking place, the feeling place of what it feels like to have it now. What would it feel like to be able to communicate with the person that that passed away 2 years ago again, or like a parent or something like that? What would it feel like to have that experience? What knowledge would it give you? What information, what feelings would it give you? How much more connected would you feel afterwards? If you want that, that new experience with different people to create with, what would that feel like? How would that affect your experience? Write it from the position that it is present tense. It's already happened. You've got it now, and see what happens. Because what you'll find is that you'll not only be able to identify where your problem spaces are, like where your paradigms are, but it also it gets you into the feeling place of what it is you want, and the universe will allow that to happen. You do that consistently and repetitively, I guarantee you something's going to show up. It's going to start to pop. It's going to start to pop no matter what it is. It's really cool. So give it a try. Give it a try, because I know you guys have been working on all of that in the last number of classes. So give that a shot. I'm going to be really, really interested to see how far everybody gets with that, and to see what non-physical has in store for you, because it'll show up. It will show up as long as you maintain that feeling place of it. It will happen. I promise you. And I say that from the perspective of not somebody who just will yap for 45 minutes on Wednesday. This is what I do every single day. Every single day. I have my tablet and I have a pen for my tablet. I will spend like 2 hours writing this stuff out a day, to start working and creating on what I want. And every single time, I'm telling you, it will work. It does work. As I've been teaching it to my clients for 20 years. So they're, it's really cool. So I want to leave you guys with that today, and leave you guys with some affirmations as well. And because as I say, I think moving into this new experience with the paranormal, with spirituality, with our world right now, we've got to have we got to have a beat on this. We have to have a beat on what it is we're going for, what it is we want, and what it is we're bringing into our world. Because if we don't, then we're going to fall off the wagon. So when we can't afford to do that. So everybody, we have some affirmations to do as we do every time. So everybody shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Take a breath. I'm a channel of peace and well-being, and my need for peace is abundantly met. I unconditionally accept, love, and appreciate myself and who I am. I recognize and am grateful for the abundance that is constantly flowing into my life, which I can choose to allow or not. I feel with every breath a sense of peace and love. I help others by maintaining and tending my connection with Source as much as possible. This well-being is accessible to me, even in a sea of uncertainty. And in this moment, all is well. I'm able to liberate myself from my past and live with peace and serenity. I can see and appreciate all the beauty and abundance of the life around me. I'm able to embrace love while letting go of fear. And I find peace with the soothing silence of my inner being. Everybody take a breath. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for everything this morning. Everything. I always say this stuff can't happen without you guys. And I mean that. It's like it really wouldn't be. Spiritual healthcare would not be a thing if it was not for that. So please, thank you. All my love to you guys. And remember, if you have not signed up for the newsletter on entityseeker.ca, definitely do so. For those of you guys who have not been to the new website yet, it is up and running. It's cool. It's really cool. And the first newsletter is going to go out here in the next few days. So thank you all for everything. And I will see you guys next Wednesday for spiritual healthcare. Remember, all the other classes are on entityseeker.ca or youtube.com/entityseeker. Yeah, go subscribe because there's all sorts of cool stuff on there. I'm going to be putting up a new interview with myself on from the Phenomena podcast, Paranormal Phenomena podcast, where we talk about Ouija boards and communication and all of that kind of thing. So that's going to be going up in the next 24 hours here in the media podcast radio interview section. And yes, you guys will be able to get a kick out of that. It's pretty cool, and we got into some really neat discussions. So I hope you guys dig it, and I will talk to you all next Wednesday, probably tomorrow too, but next Wednesday for sure on spiritual healthcare. So see you guys. Have a great week. Bye.